But yeah, as for I can't remember if I've told the story before, but like talking about the goblin reminded me of my goblin. I had a goblin. It was in a Pathfinder campaign. It wasn't the first like society D&D we did, because the first one was like a little Dragon Age thing that didn't last very long. But it was like the first proper one that had more than one session. And I was a goblin. I can't remember which way round it was, but I had a giant diabat that I rode around on. And I was called Junkers, and I think the bat was called Stuka because they were named after like World War II German bombers. And like my goblin was styled like a World War I like fighter pilot with like a flight cap and a mustache.
Yeah.
There's this little goblin that flew over people and threw hand grenades because he was an alchemist. But yeah, he got up to some quite bizarre antics. Namely, essentially acquiring a free airship for everybody. Because we had to go like on this quest for this bulletin board. It said, "Oh, there's a Goblin King causing like chaos in the like sewers." So we went down there, the party, like the full crew, ready for like a big adventure. They all came rushing at us down the sewer pipe. At which point, the druid cast a fireball that just incinerated all of them. And we were just like, okay, guess that quest's over. Like the king was barely alive, and I think somebody just like stabbed him, and he died. And then what was important is we got the king, the king's crown. He had a crown of the Goblin King, which supposed to give you loads of stat bonuses.
Yeah.
I immediately claimed it because I'm a goblin. But it was like the Goblin King was like a hobgoblin. So the crown was fitted to his head, so it was way too big for me. So I had to wear it as like a bandolier, because it was made out of like teeth, so it looked like a bullet belt around me. So then I took that, and then I was like, actually, this doesn't really benefit me that much. What do we need? And everyone was like, we need an airship. So we went and we sold this crown to this like
of teeth
to this like collector. Who apparently had been looking for a crown of goblin origin for years or something, you know, usual archaeologist shenanigans. So we were like, yeah, sure, you can have it. And he gave us like 19,000 gold pieces for it, which we were like, oh my god. So we immediately went and like cashed in and bought like a really nice airship out of it.
Yeah.
To which point, we were sort of leaving. And then we were like, oh, we've spent all our money now. And I was like, wait a minute, why don't I just go get it back? Because this goblin, bear in mind, had the single most ridiculous stealth of any character I've ever seen. It had like, it was like a level 1 character, but somehow because of all the supplements and stuff, it had like plus 15 stealth.
Right.
Like, it was mental. So we got to the point where it was like, okay, I'm going to go back, and it turned out the guy was wearing it on his head like an idiot. He was parading around with it on his head. He wasn't drunk. He was just showing off to his friends in the tavern, and he wasn't drinking very much. He was fine.
He spent all his money on the crown.
Yeah, he spent all his money on the crown, but he was so happy about it. So then he like went to the bathroom, and I was like, right, I'm going to follow him in. Had no idea what the plan was, because I expected him to have it put somewhere and stored somewhere, but he had it right on his head. So it got to the point where he was sitting and like washing his face or something, and he was looking into a mirror in the toilets, looking at the crown on his head. At which point I obviously went, I steal it. And the DM at this point was like, right, that's completely ridiculous. There's no way you're going to be able to do that. But because your stealth is plus 15, if you roll a nat 20, you steal the crown. So I was like, got nothing to lose. Rolled the dice, 20. Yoink. And the guy continued looking in the mirror, and he didn't even notice.
It's just that, oh, this crown is so fancy. The teeth is not there.
I didn't even do like an Indiana Jones swap. I just took it off his head and ran. Got airlifted out by my like bat, flew back to the airship, and didn't tell anyone I had it. To the point where it's like I walked on, because I was separate from everyone when I decided to do this. This was my own thing. I just flew off and did it, while everyone else was like talking to the captain of the ship we'd got.
Yeah. So they're like planning, being strategic, being sensible.
Yeah,
And you're like, I want to steal it
I was
again.
like, I was like, I'm no use in the planning stage. I've got my grenades. I'll drop them on people when we do a mission. So I'm just gonna leave and try this. So I got back on the ship, and like one other character spotted me, and as I was walking back, and it turned out to be the one asshole who didn't like me because we'd been having like fights and stuff, and I think I kill stole from them or something, and they were like, they immediately went to telltale on me.
Yeah.
But then they went and they spoke to like this big warrior character who was like pretty influential in the party, but spoke to them one-on-one with me like there as well, and was like, I see the goblin, he's got the crown, and I was like, no, I haven't, and it was clearly on me. It was clearly bandolied across me, same as always. I was just blasé saying nah, and the warrior guy looked at me. I think he was quite a bewildered at how I actually got the crown.
Yeah.
And just looked at this like whiny character who was going like, "Oh, he stole it! We should have it back!" And was just like, "Well, if he found it, it's his." The other character's like, "It's," and I just like smugly strutted back to my alchemy lab on the ship and didn't say anything to anybody else. I literally put it on a shelf in my room, and that was that. And that turned out to be the end of the campaign because we didn't continue after that. It was just like that voyage, we were meant to go somewhere else, but the campaign ended. So it ended on that note, which was beautiful. But yeah, that was one of my funnest characters, the stealthiest goblin that ever did live. Because goblins had like stupendous modifiers, and then
was this Pathfinder?
Yeah, this was Pathfinder. So it was quite easy to stack horrific amount of modifiers. Yeah. This was like probably my only min-maxed character that I've ever done. But to be fair, he couldn't do much damage, and he wasn't like a rogue, so he didn't get like stupid sneak attack bonuses. He could just hide while a fight was going on and occasionally chuck grenades. Like the grenades were fairly average in terms of damage and stuff because I didn't spec alchemy. I did like stealth for some reason.
It paid off.
But yeah, it paid off. It paid off like an airship worth of money. So yeah, that was one of the greatest shenanigans. There was quite a lot of faff in that campaign of bizarre things, including the gunslinger who never hit any shots ever. Yeah. Supposed to be like an expert rifleman and was constantly missing, and I was chucking a grenade from the same distance that they were firing a rifle, and I was hitting more people. And then we had a boss fight as well, where there were these two. I can't remember what they were. I think they were like basilisks or something. But one rolled a 1 on its initiative, and we were all laughing at that so much that the DM just decided that it tripped over and knocked itself unconscious. Because it was like emerging from rubble, and it rolled a 1 on its initiative, so he said it just face planted. So it was like this big terrifying fight. There was this like pirate captain with like a huge cannon that he was just holding in his hands, and then these two giant lizard wolf basilisks, and then one of them just face plants. We were like, yeah, I think we could take this guy. So yeah, that campaign was well and truly full of antics. I'd forgot about it, but you reminded me with the other goblin and his gorilla.
Yeah.
Goblins with companions are a fun time.